Hello everyone, thanks for joining me today for our devotions. I'm looking forward to share today on God's visible presence. And we want to start off back in the Old Testament because the Ark of the Covenant was really a symbol of the presence of God, His visible presence on earth. And then we want to look in the Old Testament in 1 Samuel chapter 4. Now we have an account where the Israelites, they fought the Philistines, but they lost the battle. So their plan was the next time to go back into battle, we will take the Ark of God with us when we go into battle, and they're certain they would have victory. Let's read that in 1 Samuel chapter 4 verse 3, the latter part. It says, "And they said, why did the Lord bring defeat on us today before the Philistines? Let us bring the Ark of the Lord's covenant from Shiloh, that he may go with us and save us from the hand of the enemies." Now they would have known that the ark was used before in the Old Testament. For example, we have in the Battle of Jericho, it was brought and they had victory. So they just assumed they could just bring out the ark and they would have a guarantee of certain victory. So they brought the ark, as it was normally done, with the priests. At the time you had these two ungodly priests, the sons of Eli, Phinehas and Hophni. So they took the ark into battle with these priests, and the Philistines heard that the ark was there, so they were quaking in their boots, and they said, we have to fight even harder to get the victory. So they fought and they had the victory. They defeated Israel, and even in the midst of it, the ark was captured. In the battle, Eli's two sons, they died, and Eli, on hearing the news, when news was sent to him that his sons died and the ark was taken, he also died subsequently. Now, when he heard the bad news, it had further bad news to come even with his daughter-in-law. But at that time, when you look at Israel, Israel was a backsliding nation. They were not too concerned about their relationship with God. Certainly, you had corrupt priests. And they treated the ark, it was like a good luck charm. But they were unaware that you just can't manipulate the presence of God. God cannot be contained in a box, the ark. King Solomon shared that. Let's read that in 2 Chronicles chapter 6 verse 18, when he dedicated the temple, and he said, But will God really dwell on earth with humans? The heavens, even the highest heavens, cannot contain you. How much less this temple I have built?" So God is everywhere, and he chooses to dwell where he is received. Now, previously, God had spoken through the prophet Samuel that he would bring judgment on Eli's family, on his sons, those priests, because of their sinful behavior. Now, as we said, when the news came that these two priests had died, and also Eli, the daughter-in-law, she was close to her time of delivery for her baby. And when she heard the ark was captured, her father-in-law died, her husband died, she went into labor, premature labor, and she gave birth to a son. Let's read that in verse 21. And it says, "And she named the child Ichabod, saying, The glory is departed from Israel, because the ark of God was taken, and because of her father-in-law and her husband." What does Ichabod mean? It means no glory, because the kabod represents God's presence, the weighty, heavy presence of God. So the ark is really a representation of the glory of God. It's a visible manifestations of God's power, God's presence on earth. So the Israelites having the ark, it was really a pledge that God is saying, I have covenanted my presence with you. But Israel, in their sin, their disobedience, their idolatry, that led to Ichabod. They lost the glory. God's presence had departed from Israel. And in this battle, Israel found out that God's power and his presence cannot be controlled or manipulated at will. What does that mean for us today? We don't want in our lives Ichabod to become a reality in our midst. We don't want to do anything that will hinder or stop or block or cause God to remove his presence. Even religious activities can even hinder God's glory. We don't want to miss out on God's visible, tangible presence. And so we need to really cooperate with God and the Holy Spirit, that he would guide us how we can have God's manifest presence in our lives. That we long for his presence to become tangible at times, and miracles, signs, and wonders to become visible. So we want the glory. So we want to cooperate with God that we wouldn't miss out, because we want his visible presence in our lives personally, in our devotion to him, in our families, in our churches, in our ministry. We want God's glory in our midst. So as we cooperate with the Holy Spirit, we will experience him in a great way, and then we will see God is going to reveal himself. He's going to respond. We will see signs and wonders and miracles, the visible presence of God manifested in our lives. So let's cooperate with God. As we are obedient to the Holy Spirit's instructions, we will see the presence of God manifested in increasing measure through us as we hear his voice. We believe in God for great things this time, to press into the manifest presence of God.